Thanks for joining us for this video. We wanted to do a short series on our DIY cedar hot tub. It's something that we're really excited to get started on, and so we're going to share a few different subjects with you. This video today will be some tips that we learned on finding cedar at a really good price. As some of you might know, we bought a stock tank thinking that was a smoking deal. I think we paid $275 for an 8-foot galvanized steel tank. Come to find out, it just wasn't a good fit for us. And so we ended up trading that just recently, and we decided to invest in some cedar. So we want to share with you some tips that we learned on how to find cedar at a really great price. The biggest problem with getting wood for your hot tub is finding clear cedar. You don't want any knots. Ideally, you want tight grain wood, but that's not always the easiest to find, and you're going to pay a pretty penny for that wood. The good news is you can find clear wood, but it's hiding in number 2 grade lumber. So the first tip that we have is try to find a warehouse that uses seconds. They buy a lot of units that have blemishes or damages or knots or things that are too big to go to market. And the second tip is to find one of those warehouses that will let you sort through the lumber. That's really critical. A lot of warehouses, they won't. You have to take the first few boards off the pile. In our case, we found a warehouse nearby. It was about 90 miles away, and they let us sort through several units of lumber, and we were able to find lots of clear wood. So let's look a little closer at these boards, and I'll explain to you what that means. So this board was actually a grade number 2 cedar board, but as you can see, there's a lot of clear wood in here with no knots. Of course, there are knots from time to time, but these knots, a lot of times there's a gap between them. And what you can do is look at these boards and try to decide whether you could cut a piece of clear lumber out of this big enough to use. Of course, you'll have lots of wood left over, but the value or the price of these boards is so much lower than a clear piece of wood, it's actually worth trying to sort. The other advantage is you end up with a lot of extra wood that you can use to build other things. So the way we're doing this is we're actually going to measure between these knots and see if we can get a 3-foot stave for the side of our hot tub out of this. So our hot tub is a 3-foot height. And so what we're looking for is staves that are around 3.5 inches wide and 3 feet long that are completely clear. This is an 8-foot 2x8 board, which means if we cut the board in half lengthwise, it's about 3.5 inches with a smidgen over. And if we can get 3 feet between the knots, we're dialed in. So let's take a look at this board and see whether or not it'll make a good clear stave board. All right, so what we're looking at is this piece of clear wood here. And so we're gonna measure between this knot and the next large knot down there and see if we've got 3 feet available. And it looks like we're stuck at about 32 inches. So this particular board, we actually marked off as not a good option for a stave. That said, it's actually a really nice board. So we ended up buying this to make other things like stairs, benches, and such out of. I just realized it might be a really good idea to tell some folks out there what sorting through lumber is, because while this is a common term, maybe not everybody knows what that means. So I'm gonna kind of show you what that means. Let's do a little sorting on our pile here. Alright, so I just sorted through a few of our own boards that we purchased, and what I was looking for is a board that has a lot of clear in it, even though it's got some big knots. But I'll show you how you can get a 3-foot clear stave out of this board for a very good value. Alright, so this board is one that we chose to make staves out of, and you can see that there's no knots and the grain is nice and tight on this board. It's not a tight grain, old growth board, but definitely good enough to make a hot tub out of. And you can see this monster knot down here. But the beautiful thing is, we've actually got 3 feet of clear wood in this board. So what we can do is cut this board off at 3 feet and then rip this board in half, and now we will have enough wood for 2 hot tub staves. It is a good idea when you're sorting through that lumber though, to go ahead and flip boards over, because sometimes the defect is on the back side. So don't just assume if you're looking at the front of the board it's good to go. Sometimes the defect is really small on one side and it's monster on the other side. So this board will make a fantastic set of staves. In fact, there's another section down farther on the board that's really clear, and we'll get 2 more. So this one board will produce 4 hot tub staves for us, and I think we paid around $5 for this 8-foot 2x8 cedar board, which is a heck of a deal. We were also able to find several units of tongue and groove, and again, by sorting through those boards, we were able to find plenty of clear, which we're going to use to build the floor. And again, there's going to be several pieces that are left over, and we'll use those for decorative pieces, maybe a fence, something like that. So just again, if you kind of look around these warehouses, you'll find that there's a lot of fantastic wood that's been priced down because it's got a blemish or a ding in it. All right, that does it for our tips on finding affordable wood for your DIY cedar hot tub. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about our DIY hot tub build, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll put a subscribe button right here. Please follow along. We're going to do some more videos on getting the staves cut, getting the joints cut, building the floor, assembling everything, and of course, enjoying the hot tub. So please follow along. If you want to learn more about our off-grid homesteading journey, please follow on our blog. It's purelivingforlife.com. We also have a Facebook and an Instagram. All the links will be in the description below. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.